Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. It's great to be with you. Happy New Year. I can't believe it is already the 1st of January in 2024. A fresh start to a new year and many opportunities may they come. So I'm going to be coloring in Fragile World by Kerby Rosanes, and I thought we would do the Snow Leopard because it's a double page spread and also it's still got snow and all of that. So I'm expecting this to take a couple of weeks to complete, but I'm gonna get started and we're gonna see how it goes. So what I'm thinking of doing for the sky is to create a beautiful sunrise. So I'm thinking very light colors here, maybe a very pale yellow going into peach, pinky, blue colors. We might even just leave it white. We'll see how it goes. But I am thinking of the sun kind of around here. So it's going onto both sides of the double page spread. And then we're going to use some green for the trees. I might put a little bit of white gel pen to create a bit of snow on the trees and all of that. And then I've been looking at reference photos for the snow leopard, and quite a bit of the snow leopard has got various shades of grey. So we're looking at French greys, darker greys, maybe a few cold greys, warm greys, a bit of a mix. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep it looking more of the whiter version of the snow leopard than the browner version. But I'm going to use Prismacolor pencils because of the colors they have. And we're going to bring in some of those gentle yellow tones onto our snow leopard. We're going to give him very pale blue eyes, which I think will look very striking. And then the mountains are going to be similar colors as the snow leopard, but I'm going to try and use them in a different way so that we push the mountains more into the back and we keep the snow leopard a little bit more forward. So that is the plan. I have got Inktense pencils out, I've got Neocolor 2s and my Prismas, and we'll see how it goes. I don't know if I'm going to use all of them, but we're definitely going to have them on hand because you never know what you're going to actually have. Right, so let's have a look. I'm going to use Neocolor 2s, and I might not activate it straight away, but I think what I'm first going to do is work on mapping out my colors here. So I'm going to have a yellow, but I'm going to fade the yellow out a bit with a white Neocolor 2. Because I don't want this to be too yellow. Just give it the hint of yellow. And then a white Neocolor 2 here. Okay, and so I'm going to try and mix some of this and just soften the colors here and there because I don't want them too pale, but I don't want them overly striking either. But the white isn't going to stay white, it's just going to soften the other colors when we blend them out. Right, I'm going to start with my peach. So we need to break it up a bit. So we're going to have white and peach here. So coming along maybe around there. Then we're going to go pink to about here, and then the very top we'll do I think I've got an ultramarine. Yes, I have an ultramarine. So I'm just going to draw like a light line coming down, and I'll deepen this up as I blend it out. And where I've put the white, you can see it's already softening that color, which is fabulous because that's what we want. So I hope that you all had a lovely New Year's Eve celebration or time with your family, however it was you spent your New Year's Eve. I hope that your Christmas has been a good one. Alright, so now I'm going to use rose pink. And I'm going to blend this in. I'm going to use some white along here. And a bit more peach. I am going to go over this a bit more in depth. I just want to map it out first. I find it helps me to see what I'm seeing in my head. Okay, I want to lift this up a bit more. And now I'm going to use my ultramarine. Now this could be a sunrise or a sunset, depending on how you want it. You could even use different shades of blues, and you could probably bring in purples. And then what we're going to have to remember is to put yellow accents on our mountains. Now I'm not worried about purple because when you mix blue and purple together, blue and pink together, you will get purple. So can always go over it with pencils and smoothen out the blend if it doesn't look great once we've activated it. So then pink again. Back down to my peach. Oh no, sorry, it's salmon. And a white. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could probably put in some clouds. Alright, so we're going to leave that for now, and I want to do his cat eyes, so I'm going to use some powder blue and some non-photo blue. Let's see. I'll bring you down for this so you can see better. Okay, so I'm using PC1087. And then your non-photo blue, which is PC919. And then we will take the peacock blue just here under the eyelid. And then we can use a powder blue to blend it out a bit. And I'll also use a white pencil because I really don't want these blue eyes to be too dark. So you do want them dark so you can see them, but you don't want to make the blue too dark a shade. Okay, so then we're going to need a black pencil. Alright, and then a white gel pen. There's nothing like coloring eyes. I just think they're one of the best things to color. Alright, and then we're going to need our white pencil. So as always, I just make sure my white pencil is clean. Alright, so now I'm busy finding my saved reference photos, and I really like using reference photos because they help me get ideas, and when it comes to these sort of pictures, I find it very, very helpful to see where everything lands and falls. So here where you've got all the black spots, that's where we're going to keep them quite black, but we're going to bring in the different shades now. So I'm not going to do this leopard too white, but I am going to bring in those different colors. So I'm going to need my swatch chart. And what we're looking for is very much things like eggshell, actually you could do a peach beige, or even a seashell pink would work. So let's get a seashell pink. And we'll need a beige sienna. And then I think we'll need French greys. So a 50%. Okay, we could use a 20% French grey, a 50% French grey. We'll keep a light umber on hand, but I don't think we'll use it. I think we might use more. Yeah, we'll use more greys. And looks like we're going to be quite heavy in the greys. We can use a dark brown. So I'll have a light umber out to the side. And then a dark brown. and we'll blend that out with probably white pencil, and when needed a cream. Alright, so here I'm just going to follow the line art. And we're going to make it work. Okay. So I'm going to use my seashell pink, and I'm going to come along the nose here, and I'm just going to work on mapping my colors right now. I'm not going to build up any pencil strokes for fur or anything like that. I'm just really going to put my base layers. And I'm not going to press terribly hard, because if I go too hard too quickly with fur, what's going to happen is I'm going to burnish my paper, and I don't really want to do that just yet. What I'm wanting to do is put the colors down, and towards the end I will start with the texture. Now on a page like this, what you can do is leave the illustrator's pencil strokes as your first strokes, because you can use it just as it is and just put in your shading, or you could go on top of it with your own first strokes and make it more realistic. But if you're not comfortable with fur, just putting in your dark areas, your light areas, your different tones, that will be enough to make the animal look believable anyway. And we can always add white in with either white paint or gel pen. But I did look at quite a few photos, and they're not as white. Snow leopards aren't as white as I thought they were. They had a lot more different tones going on than I actually realized. So here I'm going to leave this area white. Wherever there's no pencil strokes, I'm going to leave that white. So have you got any goals for the new year? Any aspirations that you hope the new year will bring or you'd like to reach? So one of the things I want to do is read more books. I managed to read about 13 books last year, which considering how busy I am in life, was actually a really big achievement. I haven't been able to read that much, adult books since I became a mom. I've read a lot to my kids. I do a lot of read alouds, and we did listen to a couple of audiobooks together this year. But I didn't count the audiobooks as reading books because I wasn't actually sure if it counts, because you're listening to someone read a story to you. So I wasn't really sure where I felt about that. I mean, I'm not very good at listening to podcasts or audiobooks or anything along those lines, purely just out of habit, I suppose, and I think mainly out of habit and not always knowing where to find them or those sort of things. So we listened to The Hobbit as an audiobook, and we listened to Where the Red Fern Grows as an audiobook, and that was really great fun. Although it was a bit bittersweet because it was great for us to listen to it together, me and the boys, but then I missed the opportunities for chit chat during travel time, going from here and there. But I did make a note that Where the Red Fern Grows was probably my favorite audiobook for the year. And I think I'm going to put that not as plant, but as snow. So like there's a clump of snow on him. Maybe? I don't know. That's definitely, this is definitely plant. But then there's like plant here. So I'm not 100% sure. Okay, I'm going to put that aside for now. Because I want to come in here. I feel like if you look at the direction of the sun, so the sun is coming from where the 2 pages meet in the spine of the book. So we're going to not catch as much sunlight on this side. So I want to make that a different shade. So I'm going to take my 20% French grey, and I'm going to start bringing in my greys in here. And now for the rocks, what I'm going to do is probably make them a bit of more of a brown, a greyish brown, than a grey. Yeah, so going back to the audiobooks, it was really, really great fun for all of us to listen to those 2 books, and we really enjoyed it. And then I read to the boys, well, especially my younger 2, generally every evening, and go through a variety of books. And that up until 2023, I considered that my reading time. That was what I read. So even though I didn't read many adult books when they were little, I read a lot of books to them. But it's been just so nice to read different authors, try different things. So I'm really hoping that this year I can get into more of a habit of reading books for myself and rediscovering what kind of authors I like, trying different genres. And I really like learning stuff out of books. To me, that's fun. So we'll see what the new year brings. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Cielo Oracuipa. I hope I pronounced your name right. Really appreciate that. So his island, we're going to leave, I think, white. So we'll come in here with a dark grey. So we need some of the French grey around here. you'll see as we build up the layers, it will look, the idea I've got in my head will take more form and shape. What's really great is that we've got Kerby Rosanes' idea of shading, and I love that because it really guides you. It takes a lot of the guesswork out. I've heard some people don't like it, but I think they're more experienced colorists or even artists, so for them it's easier to interpret a drawing. So I could see how it could be frustrating. And Prismacolors work really lovely on this paper. So let me know in the comments whether you're watching this real time or live, or in a replay. Let me know what are some of the things that you would like to learn, to grow in, or see in the coloring community more of. Maybe we can work on bringing that about for you. Okay, now I'm going to go for my beige sienna. So this will be more like my midtones. Alright, now here is where I'm going to start doing very gentle flicks. And remember to go in the direction of the pencil strokes, or where the direction of the hair. Now the beige sienna is going to work well with the pink, the seashell pink, because it's going to give that off-white, brownish kind of tinge going on, which I'm seeing in my reference photos. You don't need, you know, like a whole lot. You just want to start bringing it in. So hi Kenny, Happy New Year. I hope that 2024 brings you much blessings and fruitfulness and all good things. Hope you've had a good, relaxed Christmas and time with the family's been good. And because their fur is not really long, it's almost, I'd say probably closer to medium. You don't want to have very long pencil strokes, especially here on the nose. The hair along the nose is going to be quite short. So try keep your pencil strokes relatively small. No worries. Right, I'm going to move it slightly up so you can see more of his face. the nice thing with the Prisma, so there's a nice thing and a not so nice thing. Using Prismas for fur, especially in the beginning, is really great because you can blend the colors into each other. But when you're wanting those very fine individual fur strands, that's when polychromos is far superior. Now, if I recall my observations correctly, what I've noticed is a mixture of polychromos and Prismacolors on fur in some of the more professional artists. And I think what they do is they use the Prismacolors as their base layers, but then when they're working up those strand techniques, they then switch more to the polychromos, and that's how they get that beautiful blend. The other thing, like on this paper, you can use polys. I'm just not as familiar with them for creating white and these different shades, so I've gone to the Prismas because I'm familiar with their colors, and I felt like they had more those specific colors I was after. But I might switch to polys later and build up those individual strands on top of my Prismas. But if you use polys only, what is very helpful after you've built up a few layers of your fur is to go over it with a very light Prismacolor, depending on the shade of your fur. So like in this case, if I was doing this with polys, I would use either a cream or a white pencil, and I would actually layer on top of my polys, and that would soften the fur down and remove those very linear kind of strokes. And then I'd build up gently again with my polys. And I've seen it taught by professional artists, this technique, and what it does is it softens the fur and makes it look more fluffy. I have tried it, and yeah, it works quite well actually. It's a fun experiment, really. So just randomly kind of placing. I couldn't find a reference photo with the snow leopard in this exact position, so I'm not using a reference photo to actually draw from. I've just used it more to map my colors and pick out my color scheme. So I'm just going to follow Kerby Rosanes line art. Alright, so getting back to my books, I read 3 of the Game of Thrones books, and I actually really enjoy and have been enjoying them. But then after I'd read about 3 of them back to back, I got really tired of them. I was like, okay, I need enough. So then I would hop onto Terry Pratchett. Now, as a kid, I didn't actually get on very well with Terry Pratchett at all. But as an adult, I've actually really enjoyed his humor. I think it's because I find it smart humor. And I see it for what it is, and I don't totally disagree with him. But I just think he's a very clever artist, writer. So I've put on my list, I want to try Neil Gaiman. I haven't actually tried his work before. So I googled, what sort of where's a good place to start if you're new to certain authors. So I might see if the library has one of those. And then a couple of people I know recommended some books, so I've gone and bookmarked those. But I really want to read this year. I think people like Agatha Christie I haven't read before. I liked murder stories and mystery novels when I was growing up. So I read quite a bit of Nancy Drew. So I think Agatha Christie and Dorothy Sayers would be fun to read. And then I'll go and ask my one friend. She's my closest friend, and she's amazing knowledge and avid reader. So when I get stuck, I go and ask her to recommend and expose me to some new authors. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring in the 50% French grey, and it's really just the same technique. Is just going in and building up the layers and just following, and you'll see it takes shape. Ideally you want to try and keep your pencil sharp, but I'm not too worried right now because I'm still building up layers, and I could easily do another 5 layers on top here without it being saturated. So I'm going to really take my time on this fur, but I think I might actually bring in some polychromos, and I'll show you what I mean. We'll blend this out with like a white pencil. I don't have much to talk to you about regarding coloring because there isn't really much. I have got a whole lot of coloring videos that I'm filming and need to film so I can bring them to you. And these are videos along the lines of setting up my coloring journal for the year. I'm also looking at my goals, so I'll do a video for that. I'll do a video of my art supplies, so the things I used in 2023. So I have got a whole lot of things coming your way soon. Fortunately, I'm still off until I think I have next week off, and then I start going back into my routine with the boys schooling and all sorts. So hopefully between now and then I can still do some work on bringing you some really great videos. Right, so this side I'm going to make quite light because I'm going to try and get that sunlight in. So I want to really make it a good contrast where possible. So so my one video I'll show you what I used for my coloring journal in 2023 and what I'm going to do differently in 2024. Hi Michelle, good morning. How are you? Happy New Year. And the other thing when you're doing fur is if you look here, and even Kerby Rosanes strokes, he's got some going this way, some going that way, and that's because fur doesn't actually lie in one direction. It actually overlaps. So you do want to try and create that overlapping when you're creating fur. We are all well, thank you. No complaints. I've had a nice, relaxing time at home, not doing much, not going anywhere. And to be honest, the weather hasn't really permitted us to go anywhere. We did go for a Christmas walk, about 40 minutes drive away from us. These natural estates, they've got gardens and you can walk about. So they've done a Christmas nutcracker kind of theme. So we went and had a look at that. And I really enjoyed that. I thought they did a really great job with all their decor. But other than that, we've kind of just been at home with rain and wind. And then playing games. We've been playing quite a lot of games. Okay, and along in here, I'm going to bring in some seashell pink. Maybe a bit of base sienna. Oh, you've been having a lot of wind. I don't know, I can't figure out the weather. It just seems to be very odd. It just doesn't seem to make up its mind at which season it actually is. Because even though it's windy here and it's supposed to be winter, it's actually still relatively warm. It hasn't been a very cold winter. Okay, I'm going to bring in some dark brown now, and although I'm not actually sure dark brown is the right color, I think it needs to be a 90% warm grey. So put the dark brown aside. Yeah, wow, the birds are confused. They still think it's spring. We've got plants. I saw different plants. They're already getting their flower buds, and I mean that was in December. It's just very odd. Hopefully the weather will come right and the seasons will catch up. And I hope you guys get a good summer. I really do. Okay, so this is the part where I probably start to make my fur texture, because I've got enough pigment down now that I can start bringing in all my different pencil strokes. So what I'm going to do is I'll do the brown, well no, I'll do the 90% French grey, and then I'm going to go back down through my colours and build up the layers that way. Hi Kiki, how are you? Happy New Year! Fabulous, I'm glad you're well. So I'm not going to do the entire animal on camera because I think it will, you'll be here with me for probably 4 hours trying to finish this fur, but I will do this section with you and then I'll move on to some of the other areas. Okay, so now I'm going to go back down. So that means I'm going to take my 50% French grey, but I'm going to sharpen it because now I'm going to start with my first strokes. So I do want my pencils quite sharp. Okay, so 50% French grey. And then the other thing we can do is use a white gel pen to add back white fur strokes. Now, if this leopard turns out a bit more yellowy than white, I'm not too bothered because I am still trying to base it off my reference photos, which are more than just the very white grey ones. Hi Penny, how are you? Happy New Year. Okay, so I'm going down to my 20% French grey now. Again, keeping my pencils quite sharp. Yeah, I'm well, thank you. No complaints. Just enjoying the holidays. And grateful for the rest. Oh, thank you. I got the inspiration from some of the reference photos on Pinterest, and sometimes the white lions and the snow leopards, or even the tigers, they have these blue eyes, and I just think they're so pretty. So I decided I'd give him blue eyes, even if it was the only bit of blue in the entire page. But then I decided to do a sort of like sunrise, sunset background in the sky, which will just tie in the blue. I just think it's such a great nature feature when you have these very white animals and they have these blue eyes. going to bring in some of that beige sienna and just deepen it up. So I'm going to just go back down and then go back up until it looks right. Or until I get bored. Whichever one comes first. That's why I don't know if I could ever be a fine artist. I wonder if I'd just get bored. You know, because that level of patience to create hyperrealism or even realism, I think I just get too impatient and I wouldn't see it through. As far as I know, the albino, if an animal is an albino, it has red eyes. Oh dear, now I'm curious. Oh, there you go. Some albino animals may have pale blue eyes due to other color generating processes. Albino vertebrates exposed to intense light typically lose photoreceptors due to apoptosis. A common myth is that people with albinism have red eyes, although lighting conditions can allow the blood vessels at the back of the eye to be seen, which can cause the eyes to look reddish or violet. Most people with albinism have blue eyes, and some have hazel or brown eyes. So that's off albinism.org and wikipedia.com. Pure albino animals will have pink eyes, nails, skin, and or scales. The pink coloration comes from blood vessels showing through the skin. That is from a different website. There you go. Albino dogs typically have pale blue or green eyes. Well, there you go. That was a great little side trail. Thanks for that. So they can have blue, pale blue, red, or green. I always think of, you know, when you see albino mice or rats, generally they're red-eyed, red, you know, pink paws. So I've always kind of associated it. I never actually thought that an animal could have the albino traits and still have blue eyes. So I just learned something. Right, I think this section I'm going out. So I'm just going to move slightly so you can see a bit more. I'm thinking this here is still animal. I love Google. Google is fantastic. You can learn so much so quickly. I think the internet is very powerful. It's a very powerful, useful tool. I think we just need to know how to work it wisely. Alright, I'm going to use a 10% cool grey, PC1059. And I'm going to try and blend out some of this so that it looks a bit more white and grey than too brown. See what I mean? It takes me about just 2 hours to just do this much of the fur, let alone anything else. Oh wow, well done. You got the Eerie books delivered to your son in Japan and it worked out half price. Oh no, you have to wait until March. Oh, bummer. But at least you got them. That's great. So which ones did you get? I'll just plug in my laptop before it goes flat. Oh, fabulous. Romantic Tale 2 and 3 and Yuri Mouse. Oh, okay, and the Season Wreath book. Nice. I still need to order my Romantic Country 3. Right, so here I need a bit more 90% French grey, which is PC 1076. Hi Sarah! You just finished a Kerby piece similar to this. Oh cool, which one? We all have our take. I can't tell you how many other versions of different coloring books I see and I think, oh, they're so good, oh, they're so good. And just keep moving forward. And as long as you're coloring for you and you enjoy it and you're pleased with what you see, that's all that matters. You've done Wondrous Animals. That's cool. I don't know if I know that one. I want to do the tiger page in this book, but all those butterflies, I find myself a little bit at a loss of how to color the tiger page. But because I'm doing the coloring checklist challenge, I'm going to need to get over myself and do it soon, because I've got 13 challenges left, and then I've completed the coloring checklist challenge for 2023 and 2024. Okay, I'm going to take my little white pencil, because I've actually lost my other white pencil, and I'm going to try and blend this out a bit more, so in these highlighted areas, and then I'm going to just follow the same process and bring in some white hairs. more just blending really right now. So I actually wanted to smooth them out just a little bit. And then I think we'll take a white gel pen, and we can use a white gel pen to bring in some of those white hairs. But we can do that last, because I'm not sure if I'm going to do more layers on here or if I'm going to leave it. The general rule of thumb is, when in doubt, add a few more layers, because it will just deepen your tone. But I think I will probably get the rest of the leopard to this level, and then I will decide whether I want more on him or not. So I have a feeling I could probably layer up quite a bit more. But I'll move on and do some of the background with you. Oh, okay, cool. So you've done the tiger page, and you kept the butterflies the same colors, but a bit mixed up. That's cool. What did you do for the foliage? Did you do a lot of effort on it? Because sometimes I get too caught up in the details. So many Happy New Year phone calls. Oh, wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to pull the page down a bit, and I'm going to do some work on the mountains. Let's see if that will help. So I think what I'll do is I'll use maybe some different grays. So maybe some warm grays mixed with some French grays. Maybe some browns. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the tops here white, but in here where there's these squiggles, I'm going to make those darker. So here I'm going to probably go backwards and do my darkest color first, and then so go from dark to light. You're supposed to do your lighter shadows first and then do your darker colors. But I sometimes get a bit lost doing that way, and I prefer seeing where my deeper shadows go. Oh, okay, same process, but a lot of details. I just find working in the Kerby books, the paper is not actually that bad considering the price you pay. It's not an expensive book to get, and both the polys and the prismas work really well, so it's not actually a really difficult book to color in. I'm sure you were glad it was a single page. I would be too. Can you imagine that page on double spread? Good gracious. I mean, even this page, this double page spread, when I first saw it, I thought, no, I can't do it. And I think it may have been requested as a color along way back then, but I really struggled to get the courage to actually color it in. I think I might do the greenery with Inktense pencils. You could even do the mountains with Inktense, really. I'm not going to do a ton of layers on these mountains because I do want them to stay in the background and not be the main feature. Yes, Inktense does work well in Kerby books. Alright, I'm using light umber here. Okay, and now I'm going to take my dark brown and just go over that. I don't know what type of goat or sheep these are. I think I'll have to Google which animals are in Nepal, because I think these are the Nepal snow leopards. I might just make them grey. Okay, and then I want my 20% French grey. And just blend this out a bit more. Because snow is, from what I've seen, is not always pure white. It does have like a bit of a dirty look sometimes to it. Oh yes, exactly. The blurb in the back I find very helpful. It helps with color palette, it helps with research. I think Maria Trolle's latest books have started also having little write-ups in the back about the different plants that she uses. And that's also helpful, because sometimes you look at these different flowers and all of that, and I really don't know what's what. But then when you have the write-up, or just even the list of names, it really helps. Alright, I'm going to use Inktense pencils, and I think I'm going to just use a light olive and a spring green, and I'm going to do some vegetation. going spring green and a light olive. Ah, there it is. Okay. So I'm going to use, just to come into the background a bit, and then I will use the 90% warm grey. Okay, so spring green is my lightest color. And then the light olive will be my darker color. And then I'm going to take just one different color. I'll take the Fern green. And just vary the green a little bit. I'm glad that more books are using it. It's really helpful. All right, I'm going to do that green. Okay, then on the tree, we're going to have some Ionian Green. And then some spring green. Again, I really don't want to do too much on these because I just feel it's supposed to be in the background. Oh dear, hang on, same thing. So I'm just using the spring green as a light green and the Ionian green as a dark. Okay, then I want my olive, light olive. And then spring green. I'll probably do the little flower things over here with a gel pen, maybe yellow or something. There's a lot of detail on this page. don't realize how much detail there is until you start coloring. Absolutely, I'm happy he helps with shading too. I think that's what makes the books easier. All right, so now I think what I'm going to do is get my water brush and we're gonna blend some of this out. So I used my water brushes and with acrylic paint just recently, and then I went and washed them. So sometimes I forget where I put them again. All right, here we go. So let's just start light to dark. But I'm not really going to fuss too much with the greenery because I can always do the details with a pencil, and I really still want most of the attention on the snow leopard. I've promised myself not to purchase any more books until I've completed a full book. I have an awful habit of buying books. Me too. I can totally relate, Sarah. I really want to finish a book. I think it must be a very rewarding feeling to finish a full coloring book. Hi Yana, Happy New Year. Exactly, Michelle. There are so many people on YouTube showing different books. You just have to have that don't help with the no buy. Yeah, I don't know if I'll finish a book anytime soon, but I am going to try. I want to complete Romantic Country 1 because I like that book the most. And I want to do more work in my Hannah Carlson books. So I wouldn't mind finishing one of those. My problem is I don't really have any space to fit more books. So I really do need to not buy more and finish some of what I've got. Let's bring this down. Oh, wonderful, Yana. I'm glad you're enjoying the time with your family and the snacking and the eating. Oh, me too, Sarah. I also want to feel the accomplishment of completing a book. What book would you like to complete first? Do you have a chosen book yet? Okay, so let's have a go at blending out the sky and see how it looks. I've not done a gradient like this with Neocolor too, so I'm almost expecting to have to go over it with pencils just to smoothen it out, but we'll see how it goes. So here it's not working very well because there's not an even amount of pigment on the paper. So it's feeling very difficult to blend. It's feeling a bit streaky, so I think I needed to put more Neocolor 2 on the paper. And I'm definitely having to use more water to try and blend this out. So I'll go over this background when it's dry with pencils and blend it out better. Just smoothen it out because it's not very smooth. And I don't want to overwork the paper because I don't want it to bleed through to the other side. Okay, let's move you over a bit. The couch coaches have started narrating the Michigan game. Oh dear. I always find you can tell how well a game is going based on all the couch coaches or couch referees. I don't really need to watch a game to know how well it's going. Although watching rugby is very different to some of the other sports. So it's the Ultramarine here that for some reason has not laid down very nicely. I don't know why. It just doesn't seem to like the paper very much. Let's see if we put a bit more on, if it helps. So I'm going to just push over to the side. Alright, I'm just going to finish this background, just activating it with water, and then I'll call it a night. They haven't figured out that they cannot be heard on the playing field. Yeah, it seems to be a bit of a universal problem. When it's our house, I daren't say that because I'll get in trouble. It's interesting how these Neocolor 2s are not really behaving very well for me. I have used them once before, but I didn't recall having this much issue. and trying to put more pigment on the page isn't really working. So I don't know if it's that particular crayon that's just not liking the page, or I don't know what's going on, but I will use pencil to fix it. So I'll just match my pencils to the colors in the sky, and I'll color over them to try create a smooth gradient. Some pencils do need to be sharpened to remove a coating. I've used these crayons before and not had any issue. To be fair though, I haven't used the Ultramarine much. I tend to use the Prussian blue. So it might just be, it could be that. It's just weird because it's clumping. Sometimes that clumping can be not enough pigment on the paper. I don't know. Sometimes it's because they need more water, but if you put too much water, it doesn't, you could get bleed through if you put too much water, then you have it very splotchy. Oh, that's a great goal, Yana. To do more pages you tend to avoid. I want to color more in Kerby books, so I'm going to do a video with all my coloring goals for 2024. And coloring more Rita Berman and Kerby books that's part of my goal. There's no ways I'm going to color in all my books in 1 year. So I think I just need to do pick some books per year to focus on, and then kind of move around my collection sort of with that kind of concept in mind. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out so you can... Exactly, the pages we tend to avoid are often the ones that help us in our coloring, learn new techniques and that sort of thing. Okay, so that gives you my ideas, which I think will work if I can just get this right. So I will use pencils and I'll try fix the sky with pencils. So I'll probably use a peach pencil, a pink pencil, and then an ultramarine, maybe with a bit of a lavender, and I'll try blend them through. And I might lift this section here a bit more, bring a bit more white through. but that's sort of the idea I'm going for. So I'll carry on with this page, and then I'll do more with you next week, Monday. But I think it's pretty much that's the idea behind it. So I'll do all the vegetation the same way, the fur the same way, the mountains. So we'll see how much I can get done this week, and hopefully wrap it up next week if all goes according to plan. Thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I hope that you have a lovely week, and may it be a good start to the new year. And I really appreciate you chatting with me. Until next time, everyone, take care and happy coloring. Bye for now.